Here. And away we go. What's up, everybody? You are listening to episode 39 of Helmet Hair, part of the PodHub Network. And this is our first ever live show. This is awesome. And it felt appropriate, apropos, if you will, to do this for the 1 year anniversary of the debut episode. So I'm joined by 5 lovely people that I've connected with on social media, and then 2 out of 3 of the most well-received guests from the first year of the podcast, Mr. Hunter Homostek and then Miss Amanda Scrimmali. Hey.
Thanks for having me again. I got to ask real quick, flip it on you. Did you put Minka's jersey up in honor of the 39th episode, or is that just coincidence? Is that always there?
If you couldn't tell by my face, that was absolutely coincidental. Oh my gosh.
Sometimes these things just work out, Jordan. It's
beautiful. They do. It is beautiful. Well, thanks for being here. You said, you tell us again what you're drinking, because I feel like that warrants its own thing.
Yeah, let me Google the brewery so I can at least give them a shout out, because I don't remember the brewery. So it's called Reptar Juice by 26 Acres Brewing outside Charlotte, North Carolina. So we were just visiting North Carolina and brought some beer home. It's a hazy IPA, New England IPA, like it seems like everything is nowadays, but I'm not mad about it. So it's delicious. But yeah, Reptar Juice, I saw it and I'm like, I need that.
Love it. And I'm personally cracking open, of course, a beer from Grist House, Double-Edged Sword. It's a double IPA to finally wrap up the double hazy New England IPA little snippet that I've been doing. I feel like I've been on double IPAs for like 3 years, but
nothing wrong with that.
Whatever. Yeah, they're so good. Amanda, how are you?
I'm doing well. So glad to be here celebrating you and your success. This is just really exciting. We're all big fans. Just one of the fans.
Just one of the, doing quick math, one of the 8. Except one of those is me. So take that out. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for being here. And then everybody else, I have a few friends from Twitter and then a couple of friends from Instagram. I actually know Sean from college, but it's good to have you all here. Let's start in the top left. Noah, how are you?
I'm great, Jordan. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having us on. First live, actually, I'm a big media guy, and this is the first live podcast I've actually ever done. So this is even better. That this is cool. Yeah, I'm great. I'm going to the Buccos home opener tomorrow, and we were all talking before we hopped on, and we were talking about Steel City. I almost wore my "The Bucks Make Me Drink" T-shirt because that's at the point that we're at right now, and it's only what is it, folks? Game 5 or something like that. So. But no, excited to be here. I'm excited to hang out with you guys. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait for this.
It's great. Yeah, I believe the Pirates have played 6 games.
Yeah, it's 6 games,
and their record is 1-5. Yeah, they won the first one and they've lost every single one since. And how many runs did they give up last night? It was like 14.
Oh my word! I think it was 14-1. Phillip Evans hit that home run, and then he came in and pitched the third baseman who's replacing Brian Hayes right now on the injured reserve. So yeah, they gave up 14 runs, and then they got trounced again today.
Yep.
So, but the Reds are just a buzzsaw right now. You can't do anything about it.
And our starting, but we'll get into it after we make our way through everybody. But yeah, it's even worse than I think anybody anticipated, but again, we'll get to that in a minute. So top right, Nick, how are you?
I am doing very well. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood up here in the North Hills today. I've got my Iron City beer. I'm loving every minute of it. Sharing the pain of the Pirates right now. That Pittsburgh Clothing Company pain shirt, I think, is going to be my next purchase, because I'm like, what a train wreck it has been so far. And it makes me sad because I'm really a fan of Derek Shelton and his attitude. And I felt like that would be like the positive change we needed, but and then the Pens are disappointing recently here too. So I don't know. Hopefully, some more positives to come here soon. I have some faith in the Penguins to pull something out here, though.
I think so too. I have no going on. It could just be the injuries catching up to them. I think that, oh, geez, they looked so dominant in the first game against Boston last week, and then they hit that afternoon game, and they always struggle in afternoon games anyway. But it was like a special kind of struggle on Saturday, and then that loss to the Rangers was just another embarrassment. It was so bad, and I just kept having these like PTSD flashbacks of making fun of all of the Flyers fans for getting shut out like 9-0. And I mean, I guess we were able to score 4, but still not great. 8 goals. Oh my God. We'll get into that too, but let's keep moving. Taylor, how are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm such a big fan, and it's great to be able to talk sports and beer, the best things in the world. So, yeah, I'm drinking, keeping with the trend. I almost just dropped it, a New England IPA as well from New England, because I had somebody up in Connecticut this past week, so I lucked out. It's really good.
Love
Supernaut from New England Brewing Company, in case anybody wants to make a trip up sometime.
Yeah, get it straight from the source. I like that.
Yeah.
Sean, how are you?
I am doing great. It's good to be here. I have Arnold Palmer spiked today.
All right.
I think it's right on par with the nice weather we've been having.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Masters,
Yep. And
that starts tomorrow, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. We're not talking about golf. Golf is whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Jordan.
I'm not even disappointed in the Pirates. It's just what we expect every year.
Mm-hmm.
Just to hope to have some fun at the ballpark eventually. But the Penguins, they do this every year too. They've got these stretches of games where they'll be great, and then they'll look like the worst team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just another day in the life. You hope to get guys back. I don't think we have a general manager that'll blow anything up at the trade deadline. So, we'll see what happens.
I hope they don't blow anything up, because I don't think that that's where they are right now, where they need to blow things up. But it is to parent whenever, especially losing Brandon Tanev, his energy was sorely lacking on the ice last night. And it just feels like as soon as we get one guy back, 3 go down, and it's painful. It's just painful. And Malkin's skating again, so that's good. And Kapanen is who knows. But I don't know. It's a bleak moment, a blip in time. And it changed so quickly from last week when I was like, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. No doubt about it. They're going all the way. They'll sweep their way through the playoffs. They're that good. And now I'm like, I don't know if they're going to win again. So that's unfortunate. But they have more promise than the Pirates, at least. So there is that. Elena, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. Y'all might be laughing at me. I'm coming to you from Texas. So it's still a little early here and lots of sunshine. So I'm like fighting with my beautiful window here. So please excuse me. But it's funny. So Jordan knows this. I only follow the Penguins. I only have enough time for one sport and I get really into it. But along with the Pirates, I actually went to school with Adam Frazier. We're from the same hometown.
What?
So I kind of have a connection. He would not know me if we walked down. So we went to middle school together and then we all got redistricted because of new schools. So we went to different high schools. He probably wouldn't remember me, but I think it was last year I was on Twitter and I saw his name. And I was like, no, that's not Adam Frazier from Oconee County, Georgia. It's like, yes, it is. What's up? So in honor of that, I'm drinking my favorite beer from Creature Comforts in Athens, Georgia, my hometown, Tropicalia.
Love it.
Play.
Yeah. So that's my connection to the Pirates. And then, but the Penguins are my thing. So I will join in that conversation.
Cool. Amanda is the same way. I've talked about her plenty of times on the podcast, and she's guested, if that's even a word, a couple times. And yeah, so when we lived together in Nashville and the Penguins were making their way through their second cup run, I was living in Nashville. And so it was it was difficult to get people to care because people in Nashville don't really care about sports, but they pretended to whenever the Predators made it.
Girl, we could have a whole podcast episode about that. Is why I hate the Predators so much. It's because of all, and I dare, we could go into about like fair weather and bandwagon and everything like that. But it was just like, I actually follow this author who lives in Nashville, and she's becoming not big on social media, but that's like her game right now. Mm-hmm. And she has never mentioned the Predators. She's actually from right outside of Atlanta and went to Georgia, which is in Athens. So she's all about UGA football and the Atlanta Falcons and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden come probably conference finals, Preds, everywhere. The night they lost, dead silent. She's never mentioned the Preds again.
Of course, because there's no level of investment. I worked at a coffee shop south of the city. I can't even tell you the way that my blood would boil when these fake ass hipsters in their boots and their skinny jeans and their hats would walk in and be like wearing a Preds shirt underneath like a leather jacket. I'm like, what are you? No, stop it right now.
I will say, goodness. I went to the Winter Classic. That's now been last year, which is crazy. So it was Dallas versus Nashville. And the people who traveled for that game were, while they are a lot, you could tell they were invested.
Okay.
So even though they're like a freaking church choir, after they score one goal, they go on for 30 minutes. So I appreciate them. But yeah, that is why I hate the Preds more than any other team. They are my least favorite.
It is gear grinding.
Glad y'all agree with me. Thank you for making me feel better about that.
They drove me nuts.
Not forgetting that horrible hype video they put out too in the Stanley Cup final. Do you remember that?
You're right. Yes.
Oh, I just cringe level like
so bad.
Horrible.
It was seriously like they were watching what everybody else was doing, and they said, let's take the worst elements of all of those videos and put them together in one.
They cannot be original. Like
no, exactly.
Like the throwing the catfish. Okay, we haven't seen this done by other teams before. Thank you.
Octopus in Detroit.
Yeah, what in the world? God, it's like what's the river there? I can't even remember, but there were like, do you remember, Amanda?
I literally don't. I don't remember. I do remember going to a game with you, though. We went to a Preds game just to go to a hockey game, and I feel like the
tickets were so cheap.
They were, but the catfish thing made an appearance, and Jordan was like, like just the whole time, just so upset. And I was like very new to like being a fan of hockey at all in general, and she was just like, this isn't it. Like, this isn't how. It's just they're not the Penguins. I was like, okay,
they're not
very passionate about this, but now I understand. I'm like, just shut up.
And to further drive that point home, I didn't realize how much animosity I had in my heart against the Predators and their fans.
I love it.
That was December of 2016. So it was the Christmas before they went to the Cup Finals. That stadium was maybe half full.
Yep.
There were not very many people there at all. And then,
that's kind of why I would not, this is going to sound bad. So I live in Austin, and I go to Dallas probably once a month, once every other month, depending on how much I can get up there. And I go to Stars games. They're not half full. I would say 3/4, but a lot of it is like most of the time I'm sitting next to someone. They're like, my company has season tickets and it was my turn to use them. Like I sit next to a lot of those types of people. I'm kind of glad that like the Stars went to the finals in the bubble, because if I would have had to deal with that, because that would have totally happened in Dallas too. I would have just jumped off the building. I can't, cannot.
Oh, is that from the game?
Nice.
Oh, cool.
That's from the game. Yep.
Wow.
Literally us at the game, but like she was very upset. She was just happy to be like watching hockey. But again, whenever you've been to like a Penguins game and then you go to any other hockey game anywhere else, like if you go in Pittsburgh, there's just nothing like it. And I'm not even like, the diehard sports fan with every other team. Like I can relate to you, Elena, on that. Like the Pens are like my heart, but there's nothing like it. And I live out in New Jersey, outside of Philadelphia. Don't hate me. You're the Flyers.
Bless
just
you.
saying.
God bless you. You're a Penguins fan and living outside of Philly. That's.
I do discuss it with my friends, but would I wear my jersey in downtown Philly, no,
God, you
probably
would get
not.
shanked.
No, don't.
Yes,
We
exactly.
want you to be
I
the best.
won't.
Don't do it.
Thank you. But yeah, I have to like hold my own. But at least the Flyers have been really not great, like even more so than the last couple of Penguins games. But anyway, just saying.
Yeah. So one last thing about the Penguins right now, Elena, is that a Penguins pillow behind you?
Yes, it is. Thank you for noticing.
All right. Yeah.
Oh my
that
So,
is a big one.
This is my Pittsburgh chair in my office. It's from IKEA. Thank you for noticing. When I was actually at the last home game before the shutdown. And I saw this pillow and I wanted it so bad, but I was flying Allegiant and I was like, they're not going to let me take this pillow on this cheap airline. So I bought it the day after I got back, and it got here probably like the day everything shut down from Pinskier. So
dang, so it was like a gift to you, a COVID gift.
It was. I needed it. Now
yeah.
My dog sleeps on top of it, so it's kind of
looks comfy.
One.
Yeah. Well, they sell them. The reason I asked was because I went to the first game back from COVID, and then
so jealous.
Convinced my family to go to I think it was the next weekend or the weekend after that, the game against the Rangers. And my brother lives in Tampa, but he's a pilot, and he flew up for the game. And I get a hat every game. So he went into the store with me and he found this pillow. And he freaking fell in love with it. It was the smaller version of that. And when he saw the bigger one, he was like, how would I want it, but I can't fly with it. So he bought this pillow. He was carrying it around with him everywhere. He kept pulling it out from under his seat, taking it out of the bag, looking at it and marveling at this pillow. He was obsessed with the pillow. And so, we're at the game, we win. It was a great game. We get all the way home to my parents' house where he was staying, and he turned around. He was doing something at the sink. He turned around, and the look on his face, you seriously would have thought that his girlfriend called and said one of their cats died or like ran away. He was like, my pillow. He realized that he forgot his pillow. Yeah.
No.
Yep. He forgot his pillow at PPG. And so he kicked into like manager efficiency mode, and he was texting somebody that he knows who works for the ice crew, and he was like, how can I get my pillow? And so he eventually got in touch with guest services and this wonderful man named John, and they were calling like back and forth to each other. And eventually John was like, I have your pillow, except my brother was down in Tampa at that point. But as soon as I saw the look on his face, and my mom did too, we both were like, we'll do whatever it takes to get.
Yeah, I was about to go online and buy your brother a pillow when you
I
told me that story.
It was so sweet and heartbreaking, and just it was one of those moments. So then I started having to coordinate with John to figure out like when I could get down to PPG to get this damn pillow. And so we're like going back and forth calling, like, and then eventually my brother was like, John isn't in today, so you can't go. And it was just so much back and forth. But eventually I connected with John, and we were like, all right, today's the day. So I drove all the way down to the city, parked on Fifth Avenue, ran up to guest services, gave John a call. He brought the pillow down, and then my brother was able to get his pillow, and he was very, very happy.
That's excellent.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Such a happy
Good ending
ending
to the story.
Yeah. Do you think a Preds fan would do that for a freaking Predators pillow? No.
Our guest services are above and beyond at PPG. I can say that. I've been to 5 Penguins home games. 3 or 4 of them, I have been able to go into like one of those, like, what is it, like the KeyBank Club or something like that, or I've gotten to do something because an usher or someone is so nice, and it's like, hey, let's do. It's like Disney World. It's awesome.
It is. Yeah. It is more magical than Disney World.
Yeah,
seriously. I walk in there and I feel
exactly
so much. Oh my god, it's insane. So we'll get back to the Penguins, but just quick show of hands. So I know, Noah, you said you're going to the Pirates game tomorrow, which is awesome. Who follows the Pirates? Yeah, we're in the Pain Club.
Welcome to the paid club, kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince myself to go to the game next Wednesday when I'm in town. So
it'll be cheap.
Actually, my buddy's singing the anthem that night.
Nice.
Cool. Very cool.
That is awesome.
My friends,
Name
my
drop
friends Dwayne and Tiffany, they're her husband, Tiffany's husband Dwayne, singing the anthem that night
That's
for
awesome.
the. So I'm actually going next Wednesday specifically to hear Dwayne sing.
Okay, well then I definitely will need to look into tickets.
Dwayne. Yeah. And then you can be screaming like, I know a guy who knows that guy. Dwayne.
No.
I'm connected to the Pirates in a lot of ways now. Let's just keep it going.
Adam Frazier, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm a full season ticket holder for the Pirates.
Get out.
Nice. Look at
I have the full packet. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm totally invested in the team. So actually I'm going Thursday night, and I'm going to the opening night with my girlfriend. So we're going Saturday night, and then we're going back for they've only opened it up for the 14 games, which is through May 3rd right now. So we'll see what happens.
I'll see you.
I feel like you need a support group for that. If you're a season ticket holder for the Pirates, I feel like they need with this season ticket sale. It's and here's the group you come to when you really just need to vent.
There is a group of us that have found each other through Twitter. There's about 30 of us. Not all of us are season ticket holders. Everybody and their kids. We're all great friends of each other's. My buddy Keith, actually, it's ironically we mentioned this now, Amanda. He entered me in Jordan's contest. And that's how I won.
Look at this.
So we were actually out on Saturday, and I was with Keith, and I went, "Hey, guess what? I won the contest. You won the what? I won the contest. You got the contest. I'm not kidding you. I won the contest." So yeah, he and I are actually going tomorrow to open.
Nice. Was he jealous that you won after he entered you? Was he like, damn, I should have entered myself instead?
He was very appreciative. He was like, oh, congratulations. That's great. What'd you win? And I explained what I won. He was like, that's awesome. Jordan, he's the guy that does the Bottom Shelf podcast.
Oh, awesome. Dude, that's so cool. I've been talking with him. And by that, I mean, we sent maybe 2 or 3 DMs on Twitter back and forth, but it's looking serious. It's getting serious. Yeah. We're talking about doing a couple episodes for that, June or July. He said he plans that out pretty far in advance. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're serious. You're very serious about this. I am just amateur hour. I just kind of wing it week to week, but I'm pumped about that because whiskey, cigars, that's good stuff. So season ticket holder, that's cool. Nick, did you say you're going to the game Saturday?
Yeah, I get my daily dose of pain on Saturday.
Nice.
I'm excited.
Awesome for you.
Hey, it's going to be a beautiful night. I can't complain about that at least. And I've been craving for the past year to just be sitting at a ballpark with a beer in one hand, hot dog in another, just enjoying the beautiful view of the city there. So that's worth the price of admission at least. And then
there's nothing like it.
Yeah. I mean,
I miss it so much. I just can't wait to go back. There was a ranking that said Pittsburgh was kind of low in terms of alcohol sales in the park. And I was like, well, it's now my job officially this season to go and get a couple beers. So, keep that in mind, guys.
It is kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
Come on, Pittsburgh. Do better. Especially with the team. You would think it would be super high.
No, exactly. There's nothing
Elena,
better.
I will tell you, and I'm not trying to sound biased here, it is the best view in sports, period. So if any other reason to come to see a baseball game, it is to see basically my buddy. I took him. He's from Cleveland. Don't hate on him. He's a good dude.
I feel bad for him.
Right.
He came a couple of years ago. I brought him for the Pirates Phillies series because he wanted to see Bryce Harper play. And sold out game. It was 79 celebration night. We took the tour, the pregame tour, and we're on the club level. So it's the 200 section, and it's straight out over home plate. He's literally everybody's just holding their phone out, taking pictures. And I'm just like, I'm not trying to say I scoffed at it, but I'm like, I see it every time. So I'm not going to take a bunch of pictures, but everybody just stood there and that's right. My seats are right above that in the 300, right above home plate. And I see people all the time come down to the concourse and just stand there, take a couple pictures and go back to their seats. It's just, it's worth it. It's worth every penny. It's actually probably worth more than every penny that you pay to get in.
Yeah, I've never been, but when I was in Pittsburgh about this time month, and so this time last year, I went to North Shore and I went up to PNC and everything. I was like, this is so beautiful. I can only imagine what it looks like inside, like the view. And my husband's going on this trip with me, and he's not a sports fan, but he's a good sport. So, he's going to the Penguins game, and he's going to have fun. And so I'm like, should we go to the baseball game? But I love a hot dog and a beer. And I love a baseball game. I just don't watch it on TV. And I'm like, but the view and the beer and you're really convincing me now to go.
It's amazing.
And you have to get that ice cream. What is the ice cream? Do they sell it all the time, Jordan? The ice cream that I love.
I love ice cream.
It was, I can't remember. So a couple years ago, if you remember the name Josh Bell, he's gone. Obviously he was one of our best players for a while. The year, it was 2019. So he was up for the All-Star game. And that was a big deal for the Pirates because up to that point, it had been probably since Andrew McCutchen that we had a player that was gunning for the All-Star game. So Amanda was visiting the week that the Pirates opened up PNC Park to do this Josh Bell All-Star game voting thing. Nice. And they let fans on the field. Jalapeno Hannah was there for some photo ops. Yeah, legend. That's my girl.
She's on steroids though. She's clearly on steroids. She's so much faster than the other pierogies.
She
man.
is.
It's not fair.
She gets them. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, there she is. There she is.
Nice. The legend. Girl. The legend herself.
Yep. But Rivendell, they were handing out Rivendell ice cream cups that were specifically pirate themed.
I think it's called Pirate's Treasure.
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Because they did kids ice cream Sundays. So not ice cream Sundays, but ice cream Sunday. So on Sundays throughout the summer, they gave out free cups of Pirates ice cream.
Yep. It was so good. It was like this yellowish hue with these little slivers of cookie in there. It was so good. And they sold it at Market District out in Robinson for a good bit. And then it just disappeared. It disappeared. I don't know where it went, but it was so good. I don't know if they sell that. You might be able to find it at PNC Park. Not sure, but they definitely still have beer and hot dogs.
I just want to be a Pirates fan now. Like y'all are selling me this, and it's okay if they're not winning. I support no matter what. I'm loving all of this. Is all my favorite stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
Still very fun. If you can, make sure you get the ice cream in the Pirates helmet, though. I feel like everybody has to do it once because it tastes better, and you get a little souvenir.
Yeah. Yes, I live like 10 minutes down the road from a minor league team, like super minor league, and they don't do the hats anymore. They stopped doing them. It wouldn't be last season, I guess 2 seasons ago. I went and I was like, can I get a hat with some Dippin' Dots? And they're like, we don't do that anymore. I'm like, well, a hat with some ice cream, or like just put some Coke in there. Like, I don't need anything. Like a hat. No hats.
That's disappointing.
I kind of devastated.
They were the affiliates of the Astros at the time, so that might have something to do
they
with
cheat,
it.
So
yeah, but now they've moved to the Rangers again.
Oh, so. Okay.
Fair.
Hunter, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I wonder if the ice cream was in Josh Bell's contract now. I feel like that was like the ice cream left with Josh Bell. I wonder if the Nationals serve this amazing ice cream now. What would you do? I would drive to Washington.
I was just going to say, I would go to a Nationals game for this ice cream because it was so good. Oh my God.
I will try and check tomorrow and see if they have.
Yeah, skip out.
Yeah, someone find it. Someone find it. Every time I go to Pittsburgh to visit Jordan and we go to Market District, I'm like, where is it? Where is it?
And I try to tell her it's gone. It's like, it's not like they needed to restock.
To bring it back. Oh, so
Josh Yohe,
someone find it for me.
Josh Yohe made a reference to the PNC Park ice cream in his latest Q&A from a couple days ago.
Nice. Oh, really?
We'll have to ask him about it when he gets on.
Yeah, he might know.
Do it.
You'll be here. You can do it.
Oh, good point. I'll do it. Guys, I get really passionate about the food. I can't really like comment on all the sports things, but I'm like,
that's
the food, the bevs, like I got that.
Let's take a quick poll here. Which arena facility has the best food then? PPG, Heinz Field, or PNC Park? What do we think?
Best food options, I would say PPG.
Yeah.
There's more.
I second that
from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they have more of a variety and less stadium arena type food, kind of like concessions. Like I love the variety there. And granted, this season it's been a little bit different because, you know, there's only so much that they have open at this point. But I'm going to the game against Boston on the 25th, and it's with upped capacity. So we'll see if things are a little bit different then. But
I will say this. I am a Georgia girl, so I only drink Coca-Cola products. Diet Coke being my jam. PPG has RC Cola, and that's... Am I allowed to curse, Jordan?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's some bullshit. Okay. We need some better drinks in here. Okay. But I can tell you, if you go to American Airlines Center or what's Vegas called?
T-Mobile.
Yeah, T-Mobile. They have Coca-Cola products.
Okay.
The others I've been to do not. So
PNC Park has Coca-Cola products.
I was just going to ask.
See? There you go. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, they lost the Pepsi contract about 8 years ago.
They didn't lose it. They were blessed.
They won.
I
the
think
Coca-Cola contract.
I don't know what happened to it, but do you notice now, Jordan, when you go to the Clemente Wall, the Pepsi stack's no longer there. Like that used to shoot off the fireworks.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been gone for a good while. We used to, Elena, we used to have a Pepsi bottle that was on the Clemente. So the Clemente Wall's right field, because Roberto Clemente played right field. It's 21 feet high. That was his jersey number.
I do know that.
So
I got that.
On the top of the stack, they would have a Pepsi bottle. And so every time a guy would hit a home run, they would shoot off fireworks out of the Pepsi bottle and it would light up. And, now it's been removed and they just have Allegheny Health Network advertisements and Highmark advertisements.
Lame.
Well, I have been to a handful of Braves games, especially when I lived back in Georgia. And then I went to one right before I moved to Texas. And I think I haven't been to the new stadium, but Turner Field had the big giant Coke bottle and they did the same thing. The fireworks came out of the Coke bottle. So that sounds like a ballpark staple type thing, a soda bottle with fireworks.
Yeah, it's baseball, I guess. What's more baseball than exploding pop? I don't know. I can't think of anything. Oh my God. So I just want to get other people's opinions because I have in my mind what the next, or I guess the Pirates 5-year plan is, because for the majority of my life, what they would do under current ownership, I'm not even going to name him because he's not worth talking about. They would try to spin it like they were contending, but then trade away all their assets and not really get anything in return for it. They would do the whole like international money thing, a pool, whatever that is. They just wouldn't commit one way or the other to full rebuild and make a run at the World Series, or we're going to do this right now and work with the pieces that we have in the organization. It feels like with Ben Cherington, they're kind of committing to that full rebuild. That's what it feels like because they traded away everybody this last offseason. Like anybody who mattered, gone. And people were kind of bitching about it, and that's fine. Like that's kind of been the Pirates' MO, is to just disappoint and disappoint and disappoint. But for me, as soon as I started seeing them trading guys away and sort of investing in that minor league pool, I felt like, okay, this is at least the start of something that feels different. So looking at the fact that the Pirates have the number 1 overall pick this coming draft, and the fact that there's a very good chance that they're going to have the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. Sound off one by one. Don't care who goes first. Do you think that within the next 5-ish years, the Pirates could be a competitive team given what's going on right now?
100%. 100% yes. I'm committed to that because, like you said, they sold off all their assets. And we're not going to bring up the Astros after this, but that's sort of what the Astros did. Is for 3-4 years, they were horrible. In fact, they lost a game to the Pirates in that stretch where they dropped the ball on a pop fly in the 9th inning, and that's how the Pirates won. So the guy dropped an infield pop fly. So they were bad. I think committed wise. So Brian Hayes is a kid to watch out for. Unfortunately, he's injured right now.
Of course he is.
This kid is, it's all of Pittsburgh, Jordan. All of Pittsburgh's injured, and all of Pittsburgh is a game time decision. So, but no, I'm fully committed to the kid. I didn't know he could hit as well as he's been hitting.
Mm-hmm.
He was a defensive stalwart for a long time. Like you said, they've got plenty of stock now. Their minor league system has gone from bottom 15 to top 10 in 2 off seasons. I'm committed that they're gonna find a way to at some point, sort of like what Milwaukee has done right now, where good young assets, good team. It's a smaller market like Pittsburgh, and then suddenly you're going to sell off A, B, C, and D, which were decent prospects when you got them, but you're going to sell them off because you can go out and get free agent A or trade for this guy that you couldn't get out of free agency, but you wanted them to trade anyway. I think they're full all in. It might take 5 years. I'm almost convinced it's going to take 5 years because of the way you have to rebuild your system. But they're looking at every avenue possible: international signing, international development, and I think within the next offseason, guys like Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, and young guys are going to sign a 4-year or a 3-year with a 4th-year option, a 4-year with a 5th-year option. They're going to build a core. And I think they're going to sustain it. That's what Ben Cherington wants, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and he did really well in Boston from everything that I've seen. And obviously, Boston's kind of gone off the rails a little bit. But
well, Toronto is where he came from. And look at Toronto right now with Cavan Biggio, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They went out and got Ryu last offseason because they had assets to use. So he's built some winners and sustainable winners.
Yeah.
Who wants to follow that? Come on. What can we even say?
that was a very comprehensive answer. Oh my God. That was really great.
That was. I'm super impressed. The only thing that I would definitely add to that is that along the way, because I feel like the season right now, Pirates fans went from super hype, like throughout spring training. They were like, hey, maybe it's not as bad as we think, right? Like maybe we'll actually have some fun. And now they're all depressed again, like as you could expect. But along the way, like it doesn't take much, I feel like, to get Pirates fans just a little invested along the way. Just keep me a little invested, because I remember that when I was covering the team throughout the whole 2019 season, it was like, they're terrible, but Josh Bell was amazing in May. And that's all. Like May was amazing. And then there were a lot of just little wins along the way, little win streaks here, little win streaks there that like, hey man, like Brian Reynolds was doing amazing. Kevin Newman was doing amazingly. And it's just like, keep me interested. And I feel like they have enough of those pieces right now that this 5 years, it's going to suck in terms of wins and losses and playoff appearances that aren't going to happen and things like that. But there's going to be enough along the way to show light at the end of the tunnel, I think. Yep. And that's ultimately all Pirates fans really ask for. As much as they get sad whenever the Reds trounce them, which sucks doubly because it's the Reds, and I get that. But like those days will come to an end at some point, the way they're building this. So it's just important to keep that context along the way and just take the small wins and enjoy them when they happen. Like Brian Hayes, like you said, no, like that's somebody to get super excited about. It's a talent that Pittsburgh hasn't had in a very long time. I would say since probably Prime McCutchen, honestly. So he can be at that level, and that's super exciting. Like even if the team isn't winning, it's exciting to watch a guy like that every night.
Oh, spot on. It's his first at bat, his very first at bat, home run. Unlike pitch 2.
Unreal.
He's insane. And you are absolutely right. Like if you ask any Pittsburgh sports fan who is invested in the Pirates even a little bit what their favorite memory of Pittsburgh sports is, 9 times out of 10 they're going to say the 2013 wild card game against the Cincinnati Reds. The Penguins are my favorite team on the planet, but that's my favorite memory of Pittsburgh sports is that game when the stadium was packed and everybody was chanting Cueto and he dropped the ball, and it was just like nothing I had ever seen to that point in time. It was awesome. And
so
go ahead. Go.
So I'll bring it full circle for a minute. Who hits that home run? Russell Martin. Okay. The next off season, Russell Martin does not get re-signed by Pittsburgh. He signs with Toronto, ironically with not with Ben Cherington, but at that time, but goes to Toronto. Okay, so like football and like hockey, you get a supplemental pick when a free agent, you give them a qualifying offer and you can't stay. Guess who that supplemental pick was?
Oh gosh, it wasn't Ke'Bryan Hayes, was it?
Was.
It
I was just looking this up on MLB on Baseball Reference this week. I was reading up on it, and the supplemental pick for Russell Martin is Ke'Bryan Hayes as a youngster. Yeah, so full circle moment there of just, we were terrible. I was upset we couldn't keep Russell Martin, and yet we get Ke'Bryan Hayes out of it.
That's not too bad, because Russell Martin was a lot of fun to watch, but he's no Ke'Bryan Hayes. Like that dude is he's one of those talents that is rare to find in baseball, especially rarer when they're a part of the Pirates organization. So that's interesting. And I don't know a ton about baseball, like the ins and outs like that. I followed pretty closely through 2013 through 2015 when the Pirates were competitive, and then I think it was the final nail in the coffin when they traded away McCutchen that I was like, I'm done with this team. And then I keep coming back for more because just a glutton for punishment and pain and anxiety and all of those things that the Pirates can create in their fan base. But
I was gonna say, what a great Penguin support group for your emotions, and then George, you just like brought it back down. It was like, wow, yes, everything does work out. Everything is gonna be okay.
No, it is gonna be okay. Cause looking at Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, like it feels like every other night, when Vanderbilt was playing, like I was like, okay, so it's Leiter, it's Jack Leiter, and then Kumar Rocker would pitch, and I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's insane. How could they not pick him? And then the next night, Leiter would pitch, and I'd be like, oh my God, they have to pick him. Like, so the Pirates are trending as bad as they are this year, which they're terrible. Like they've taken the floor, bottomed it out, made it into a basement, and then kind of like gone to the center of the earth. And that's their new floor. They're really bad. They're really, really bad. I guess they could turn it around, but their starting pitching is a disaster. Their bullpen is decent. Their fielding and their defense is meh. So it's not great, but for as bad as that is, their ceiling is very high over the course of the next few years, because they do have the number one draft pick. So yeah, you can't get better than that. And Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds, who was just such a surprising delight whenever they called him up. Like Sean, you're nodding. Like I was not expecting that from him, but they called him up and it was like, what in the world? This guy, he's going to be rookie of the year. And he was just so freaking good and fun. And so, yeah, the Hunter, like, it doesn't take much to bring us back in as Pirates fans, because we're so used to disappointment that all it takes is one glimmer of hope to be like, yes, like they won that first game against the Cubs. And I was like, maybe they will make a run this year. Maybe they can go to the playoffs. I had myself convinced. I was like, okay, it's not going to be that bad. And then, we saw what happened, but
still a long season. It's still a long season too. You never know. Baseball is one of those sports where you just get hot and ride it. I mean, you never know. But I remember the owner of Hampton Beer Outlet, actually the guy I was at the Penguins game with recently, George, he was telling me that the Vegas line was like 58 wins for the Pirates. And I was like, man, take the over on that. They can't be that bad. But now I'm reconsidering my betting advice to him. I'm like, oh man, did I just lose you money here? I really hope not. But it's exactly like you said. Like there's a lot of hope to see on the horizon for sure. The number one draft pick, obviously, that's huge. But this is like my biggest pet peeve with Pirates fans, and I already see this on Twitter. And it's like, whichever guy the Pirates pick out of Rocker and Leiter, the other guy's going to be better. It's like, why would you think that way? Like, why do you go into this instead of just being excited? Because I think they're both going to be very good. And for sure, one of them's going to be better than the other one. That's just how it works. But it's like, I don't know, like Malkin and Ovechkin, like you're not going wrong here, regardless of the guy you pick.
And the response, it's either that or who cares? The Pirates are going to trade him away in a few years anyway. Can you just shut up? Just like give it a minute to breathe. My God. Like, and I get it because the Pirates have a history and a track record of doing that. But like, this is new management. It's a new opportunity. Let's let this play out before we're like, it's the same old Pirates. I like, give it a sec. Like they're not gonna pick this guy and then trade him away next year for pennies. That's not what they're doing right now. Like,
right.
Oh my God. But yeah, it's bad. The Pirates are bad. But the redeeming factor is that the ballpark is beautiful. So yeah, Noah's gonna have a great time. Nick's gonna have a great time. Elena, you should go next week. Have a great time. Yeah, get some beer and hot dogs and enjoy.
Yeah,
watching Coke because they have Coke products there.
Yeah. Exactly. Unlike PPG.
And like PPG.
Yeah. So the Penguins. Yeah. I guess, Sean, I'll start with you. I would like to hear your assessment, take, opinions on the Penguins right now, because it feels like every single week I've done an episode and it'll go from one week where I'm like, oh my gosh, they suck and they're so bad, to the next week where I'm like, they've been riding this win streak for what feels like forever. And then it'll go back to they suck. What's going on? So is it the injuries? Is it lack of chemistry? What do you think is going on?
I think the number one thing right now is streaky goaltending, where for 2 years in a row, our backup goalie has been better than our starting goalie. Like Jari made the All-Star game over Murray last year, and now DeSmith has one of the greatest or the highest goal save above expected in the league. And then you'll still get Jari and DeSmith both on a really great streak, like the past 10 out of 12 games. And then they have 2 games where they're just a disaster and can't stop anything. And I mean, our defense has gone through injuries, but they're still playing great. Like no one's complaining about Letang right now. And he's one of those guys that everybody loves to dump on when things aren't going well. Dumoulin had a rough start, but he came back from the injury and he's been so solid. And even Marino had his sophomore slump and he's become really, really consistent. And who would have thought Ceci would have been this version of Ceci? And then Matheson, he's just highlight real goal and then a total disaster on the blue line. But I mean, our forwards have been pretty consistent all year. I mean, even these 2 really terrible losses, the last 2 games, we scored multiple goals. And you can't just always score goals on talent. Like it starts in the defensive end. You have to break out of the neutral zone, and cycle and get a chance. So like so many factors are there, but they just need to tie in consistency. And I mean, that is hard to do whenever your lines are changing every other game because, your winger, your center's out. So, I mean, it seems like every year everybody wants to make a big splash at the trade deadline, but the best acquisition is just get our injured guys back and see what we have.
Yeah, because obviously last year at the trade deadline, that feels like a lifetime ago because that was pre-COVID. But Jim Rutherford did some damage at the trade deadline, and he made some very questionable moves that didn't need to be made, especially given the amount of chemistry that those guys had going into that February, March, that season of time. They were playing so well with each other. And then it felt like they kind of shook it up just to bring guys like Patrick Marleau in for who the heck knows why he was here. But that was very short-lived.
Bringing back Sherry.
Yeah, that was, and at first the sentimental part of me really liked that because I was like, oh, yes, bring him back, bring him home. And then he got here and I was like, that was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. And now he's with Washington and the
scores against us every game.
God, every game without fail, he scores against the Penguins.
We needed Connor Sheary and we got Connor Sherry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I missed that version of him before we knew how to pronounce his last name because he was way better. It's like as soon as we were corrected in the pronunciation of his last name, that was when he started tripping and falling and couldn't skate and couldn't score. And it's just a shame. It's a real shame. I don't know, but I think getting the key pieces of the lineup back, like Malkin, primarily being, the biggest name that we're missing right now, even Kapanen and Bluger and Brandon Tanev, we're missing a lot of big names. And I think last night, what made it so jarring was not only how nervous and timid Tristan Jarry looked in the net, but Sidney Crosby had an off night. It was, I think, the second goal that he made that weird ass pass. It was like, who are you sending that puck to, man? And they scored. And it just felt like that was pretty on brand for his entire performance last night. And whenever you have, the best player of his generation underperforming, it's like, it's difficult to win. But Nick, were you able to watch the game last night?
Yeah, I caught the last 2 periods of it when I got back from I got my vaccine yesterday. So
oh, hey, congrats. How do you feel?
I'm a little achy today, not the greatest, but I think the beer is actually helping a little bit. Not gonna lie.
It always does.
Hydration, obviously, but that was very painful to watch. I was really hoping the Boston game was kind of just like a weird game that everything went wrong that game or whatever, and then for it to happen again, I was like, some of them went off of our own players. You can't really blame everybody for. I don't blame the goalies on all of it, but at the same time, I think it was Josh Yowie that I was listening to on your podcast, his most recent happy hour with you. He said, when Sid goes, the team goes, right? And to exactly what you said, he had his off night and the whole team just kind of crapped the bed last night. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic with them. I think that they do have good pieces to make a solid push. We're in a decent position right now in the standings. I think it's been a while since I've looked at it, but I don't know. I think, like you said, getting those key pieces, Malkin, Kapanen back, Bluger's going to be a big one for PK. Because how many goals did the Rangers score in the power play last night? Do you remember? It was a decent chunk, right?
Yeah, it was. I think, my God, 30 or 40%. Yeah.
So
it was an insane amount.
I think I do see this team being one that can make a push when it puts that effort in. I'm slightly nervous about Gino's return. I'm not going to lie, just because I know he likes to play that East-West game, and I'm a little bit afraid of the play the right way message going by the wayside with him when he returns. But then again, he was hot before he got injured, so you never know what Gino you're going to get. I do like playoff Gino. I like when he backs up his word. So cautiously optimistic, cautiously excited about this team for when he returns. I see this as just a blip. Hopefully Tristan Jarry can get his game back here within another couple starts. And I'll be curious to see what Sully does. I'm a big goalie guy. I play goalie myself. Okay. So I love analyzing these guys. Huge fan of both their styles. I think they're both different in their own way. I agree with Sean. I do think that CDS is the guy right now. I think he's just got this precision to his game where he's always in position. He's very, very patient. I love watching him in shootouts. He never makes the first move. He always lets the shooter do it. He 9 out of 10 times is going to stop them. But I do know that they went into the season with Tristan Jarry being the guy. And I know that Sullivan likes to ride his guy. I think he's going to do everything he can to get Tristan Jarry his confidence back, to get him to be that all-star goalie he was for us last year. Goalies are weird. It's such a mental thing too. So you got to wonder, was he really ready? I know he said he was 100%. I'll be curious to see what Josh Yohe thinks when he comes on. I'm curious to ask him his thoughts on the goaltending because beginning of the season it was god awful for both.
So
of them,
bad.
You know, and,
it was so bad.
I don't know. Speaking of the devil, here he is.
I know. Yeah.
Was that our third mention of him tonight? Was it like Beetlejuice? We just had to say
exactly.
Josh
You had
Yohe
to say
times?
his name enough, and then there he is. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Well, pardon my tardiness, everyone.
It's all good. You made it. It's better late than never, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Now I can't see you, but hold on. How's everyone doing?
Doing well, man. Nice to see you.
Now that you're here.
I had a radio show that I host every week that I forgot about. That's indicative of what a big fan I am of this particular program, that it actually was first in my heart. But I got to pay the bills too. So
yeah, I hear the bills are important. I don't personally observe them, but yeah, other people say they're important. Yeah. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
It's an honor and a privilege as always. What's up?
Oh, we shot the shit about beer and the Pirates for a good bit. And now we're into the, I don't know how to say it in the most diplomatic way, but
how about whatever the heck happened last night?
Yeah, whatever the heck happened last night.
No. We are talking about the best team in Pittsburgh right now. That is what we're talking about.
That is the way to say
it.
Very
true.
Positivity.
Yes. Yes, we're talking about the Penguins.
We're talking about the Bucks or what? What's going on?
God almighty.
No comment.
There is no comment on that. But yeah, so Nick was talking a little bit about the whole Tristan Jarry coming back and that just, it looked shaky at best last night. So one of the things that he most recently said was, Tristan acknowledged and was saying to people like, I'm 100%, I'm back, I'm ready to go. But it really didn't look like that last night. So what's your take on what happened with the goalie situation?
Yeah, I thought he looked incredibly timid last night. I mean, obviously the group in front of him did not play well. That goes without saying, but he just looked tentative. And the thing about Tristan, I always tell people, nicest kid in the world. If Tristan were not a hockey player, he would like have a surfboard and be in LA right now on the beach. Like that's just his personality. He's the most laid back human being on earth. And that can be a good thing for a goalie, but it can also be a bad thing. And I felt like last night I just wanted to go on the ice and just shake him. Like, wake up, Tristan. It's NHL hockey game. Play. Like, what, look alive, pal. That's what my grandma always said to me when I was a little kid and I was being lazy. Look alive, Josh. Like, he just, there was no intensity at all last night from him. He looked like a guy who had missed a month, not a week. Then I'm curious to see if he gets the start tomorrow night, because Mike Sullivan gets a little impatient with his goalie sometimes. Like, he would do that when Murray wouldn't play well. Like, we'd always think, he's going to come back with Matt the next game. And now he would just come back with Jarry. I mean, he'll get irritated and just go with the Smith. So I'm really curious to see who starts tomorrow night against, by the way, a Rangers team that's pretty good.
Yeah, they seem to have found their stride a little bit, at least in the goal scoring department. Yeah. Given how many hundreds of goals it feels like they've scored over the last few weeks, they're just like constantly. And when you have Artemi Panarin on your team, like it's hard to not score goals. Like, you have to be actively trying.
See, we all thought it was funny when they were putting up 10 goals against the Flyers. But then when they did almost the same thing with the Penguins, like, oh, wait a second, what the hell just happened here? No, they're not very good defensively. Like, you can, even last night, the Penguins had 3 shots on net or something and scored 4 goals. Penguins had the puck most of the game. It was a bizarre game, in fact, because of that. But the Rangers are fun to watch. And those forwards they have are scary talented. Like, they're going to be really good for a long time. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year because that's probably in too big of a hole. But next year, look out.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt them at all that the way that the playoff format and the draft lottery ended up happening this past year allowed them to get that number 1 overall pick. Because that was huge. And they, I mean, even despite that, they were doing the rebuild really well. Like, they've had their head on straight the whole time. Like, it feels like they know exactly what they want and who they're going to be, and they're just kind of going for it.
And that's not like them historically. They just throw money at people and it never works. Now, Panarin, they threw money at, but that guy's a superstar, so I don't blame him. But no, they're fun to watch. Like I would totally enjoy if they snuck into the playoffs and the Penguins get hot and win the division, get like Penguins Rangers in the first round.
Oof.
That would be some high octane, highly entertaining hockey.
Yeah, that would be.
We'd see 90s. We'd see 90s scores like we did last night again, Josh. We'd see 8-4, 7-5, 6-5.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
we absolutely would. And I think the Penguins would probably beat them in a series because they're a bunch of children. But I mean that, and they're going to win a cup in the next 5 years. If I had to guess, I think they're really, really talented. So yeah, I mean, just a little bump in the road for the Pens the last 2 games, though. I think I wouldn't be too concerned. The way they were playing, especially with the lineup they have right now, pretty hard to expect that to be sustainable. They were going to have a little bit of a drop off at some point, but if they get your favorite player Brandon Tanev back in the lineup at some point, they'll be. I know you're upset. They'll be fine. I still think the trajectory for them is really good.
Yeah, I love your 10 post-game thought articles that you always write up for The Athletic after the games. And the overall vibe that I got from you was that this isn't a pattern. It's not something that is incredibly concerning. It's just more so a fluke given the circumstances of injuries and where they are in the schedule and I don't know, things like that. And you're right, because the third and fourth line at this point has been just oh my God, like a hodgepodge of AHL players who have kind of been like, okay sometimes, and like Jankowski and Lafferty, like those 2 guys have just been.
Well, full disclosure, I was not supposed to write that article last night, but my colleague Rob Rossi got a migraine, and the reason I wasn't so he can look at the TV screen, and I wasn't supposed to write because I had my Pfizer, the second shot the other day. I didn't know where the hell I was most of yesterday, so I just hope the article made sense. Like I was literally falling asleep as I was writing it. I'd been hit by a truck. So if it didn't make sense, thank you for not mentioning that, Jordan, in advance. I appreciate it. But this is a good team. I mean, they what they did in March, and I know there were some games against Buffalo, but they beat what they did against the Islanders in those games. That was impressive. And the one guy you mentioned, like Jankowski, he's no good. We know that. Sam Lafferty, nice kid. He skates really fast, but it's just not happening. But Ron Hextall talked with a few of us in the media today. And it didn't matter what you would ask him about. You could ask, hey, Ron, what are you having for dinner tonight? He would have found a way to mention Freddie Gaudreau. They are in love with him.
Nice.
I think he's going to be the number 4 center. Like, even when they're healthy, I think he's going to be in the lineup. And you can see why. Like, the guy can play. He's a smart player. He's fast. Like,
oh, my God.
Right?
Yeah, he's been at the top of my Twitter jersey threat purchase. Like, he's... For a long time. Yeah, he's been surprisingly good. Like unbelievable. And just not just the plays that he's made, but his awareness and his IQ. Like he's always with it, and he's super fast and super committed and really hardworking. And that has been a breath of fresh air for a fourth line that for the majority of the season was like, okay, we're gonna bottom out and tank because of this fourth line, because they're so bad.
Oh, it's been atrocious all year, and you're right.
Yeah.
You mentioned his hockey IQ. You just watch him play. He always makes good decisions. And when you watch the rest of the Penguins play, they're an incredibly talented team, but I don't know that hockey IQ is something I would give them too much. Yeah. Some of them, yes. There's kind of, hit or miss, right? And they can drive you nuts, this team, sometimes, but he just always makes the prudent decision with the puck. It seems like every single time. I don't know why he wasn't in the NHL regularly already from what I've seen. Like, he can skate. I mean, and by the way, we always talk about hockey players, like, oh, hockey players are the nicest of the athletes, and people get sick of hearing about it, even though it's usually true. I have talked with so many of the Penguins, like not in the locker room, which weren't allowed, but still some guys I talk with. They love him. Like, he is the most popular teammate in the locker room now. Everybody just adores this guy. So, sometimes you need to get lucky and find guys who just fill a certain spot, and maybe he's that guy. I've been quite impressed with him.
It's super exciting because he definitely fills a need. And with Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins being as kind of barren for talent that's ready for the professional level at this point, like that's encouraging, because I've said it before, but when the Penguins won their back-to-back cups, like they were able to pull from that talent in Wilkes-Barre and just kind of like plug and play. Like they kept finding these gems, and they were ready for the NHL level, and they were solid players like Brian Rust and Brian Dumoulin and RIP Matt Murray. But like these guys that were just really, really good. And the way that Jim Rutherford approached the prospects and the, the farm systems, like he was just kind of like throwing draft picks away and throwing minor league talent away. Oh yeah, he was. It was rough. And like, if you're trying to win now, it makes sense. But at the same time, it was like, what?
Well,
interesting. But
if my pal Jim Rutherford were still running the show, they would have gotten like Taylor Hall and Sam Bennett by now. Minimum. Like, it would have been unbelievable. Like, they would have traded half of the ownership stock to Calgary to get Sam Bennett or something.
Oh my God.
Prospects. So
yeah, thank God that didn't happen. Because like the most vivid memory and recollection that I have of a deal like that happening was Derek Brassard, and everybody wanted him, and Jim Rutherford went out and got him in a 3-way deal. Like it was not like cut and dry. He had to manipulate some situations and some teams to get that guy.
NHL got mad at them. That's why they ended up having to trade Reeves to Vegas, because they were doing some salary cap things that were a little shaky.
Yeah. And then he ended up being not great, because they had it in mind he was going to be the third center, and he was going to score like 50 plus goals a season. Like it was some disconnect between like what they wanted him to be and what he actually was.
And what he wanted to be, because Derek fancied himself as being a little better than he is, I think. He's a nice NHL player, but he was complaining about his ice time a lot and things of that nature. And guess what, pal? You just got traded to Pittsburgh. Those two guys are Hall of Famers in the center rotation, so they're going to have to get their ice time, and he just never accepted that. And I also think you mentioned all they gave up, giving up Ian Cole.
That was, God,
heartbreaking. They're still talking about having a tough guy with size. You had the baddest man in the NHL on your team, and you just traded him. So that's Rutherford did a lot of great things in Pittsburgh. That was probably his worst trade if I had to pick.
Yeah, that was a questionable one.
So sure. I do want to ask you, Josh, I guess since we are on the trade subject,
sure.
I read a couple weeks ago in The Athletic that there's a possibility of dangling Marcus Pettersson out there to try and create room for P.O. Joseph to bring him back. He's a good young kid, Joseph is. I really like him as a player. But does Pittsburgh make a move? Because they don't necessarily, they have enough defensemen, I think, to make a run. So it would almost make sense that we trade somebody. But what do they do now with the injury problem also looming large?
I think Marcus probably will be traded at some point. And theoretically you can move him because you've got Joseph who can fill right in, right? And Marcus isn't having a great season, and we saw enough of PO to know he's going to be a really, really good player. Problem is, what's the Penguins' weakness on the blue line? That they get beaten up a lot in front of the net, and Marcus is a part of the problem. Well, P.O. Joseph's about 30 pounds less than Marcus, I think. So he's not going to help with that problem. He's not going to help with the penalty killing. And even though Marcus isn't having a great year, he does, for whatever reason, bring out the best in John Marino. So they probably want to leave those two together. I could see him going this summer. Like I think the trade deadline this year might be a bit of a buzzkill. I mean, there will be some trades. I don't think it's going to be huge. Teams are like hemorrhaging money. Everyone's afraid to take on salary right now because of the situation. This summer is going to be absolutely crazy, though. There's going to be so much movement this summer. Like, look out. So I expect the Penguins to do something. I think they're going to bring in probably a fourth line guy for trade a 4th round pick or something. That's not a huge deal if I had to guess. But Hextall today made it pretty clear, like, if nothing pops up that he's comfortable with, he's not going to force it. And he thinks they're a cup contender, even as their roster currently is. And maybe they are. Like, I think we all agree they're a really good team. Are they good enough to beat Tampa or Colorado in a series? I have my doubts,
Yeah.
but maybe they wouldn't have to play them. You don't know. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. But we shall see. It'll be interesting on Monday afternoon, as it always is, I'm sure.
Oh my God. It's just, even just thinking about it stresses me out. Oh my God. Oh, and it's so close. I didn't realize until I think today that the trade deadline was Monday. I was kind of like fixated on whatever game was at hand. So whenever I saw the trade deadline Monday, I was like, oh my God, what? How are we there already? How are we at the trade deadline? And maybe it's because the season is shorter than normal. And so it feels like 2-3 months in, or 4 months. How many months are we into the year? I don't know. But
I think whatever.
Whatever. However, it's still not typical for the trade deadline to be approaching this quickly.
Not trade deadline day, by the way. Like, I'm older than all of you, I imagine. But back in my day, like when I was in high school, we barely had the thing called the internet. But my friends and I would just skip school and watch ESPN all day and get our trade news. It was like the biggest thing ever. Now you can just like take your phone to school and it doesn't matter, I guess. But no, it's always an exciting day. And hopefully a couple of GMs will do like something really stupid. We can all talk about it. It'll be fun.
That's the dream.
Yeah, it always is. There's always one out there. It just takes one.
Just one ding dong. And that's set. So does anybody, I'm going to open the floor. Does anybody have any questions for Josh, Hunter, Amanda, me, anybody else? Go ahead. Ask away.
Got one for you, Josh. We were talking about it a little bit before you hopped on.
Right.
I'm a big fan of both goalies. I think they both have their own unique kind of style to them. Personally, I'm a CDS guy. I think he's got some really good precision to his mechanics in the crease. I was just curious, if you're Mike Sullivan, who are you putting in net?
You know, it's funny. Like, I think Jari's more physically gifted and he's just bigger and has the pedigree. You cannot ignore that Casey DeSmith has outplayed Jari every time they've been on the same roster or in the same competition. It's just a funny thing that happens. Jari's going to be the guy unless he implodes. I believe that pretty strongly. But I could also see a pretty quick hook if Jari would happen to struggle in the first round of the playoffs, because Casey DeSmith's numbers, the last two games notwithstanding, and those really weren't his fault. I mean, he was putting up – he was like fifth in the league in wins versus replacement, I think, among goalies. It's unbelievable for a guy who's a backup. It's a good situation they have. I'd probably go with Jari. I just think he's more – physically gifted, and as good as DeSmith has been, if he plays all the time, maybe his lack of size gets exposed a little bit. But I'm feeling good if I'm Mike Sullivan right now, because I think he has a lot of reason to trust both of them, except for last night.
Yeah. That was it was its own thing. It was a disaster. God.
So I have a question for Josh. What are you seeing in the Dumoulin-Letang pairing? Because they have really turned it around this year.
Boy, have they ever. Chris Letang in the first month of the season, that was the worst I've ever seen him play. I mean, the fan base, he's so polarizing. Some people just hate him no matter what. The other half defend him no matter what. He was playing really bad hockey. Like, he was like playing a different sport than everyone else. And all of a sudden, it just clicked one day. And he's like that. He's just a funny guy to get a read on. And I think in the last month, he's been one of the best defensemen in hockey. I don't see how anybody could dispute that. And the thing about Chris, we know he's this talented offensive guy and he helps their transition game. When he's at his best, he's actually really good defensively. Like, he does dumb things every now and then, but he's so strong and such a gifted skater. He's a great one-on-one defender. And you can see that facet of his game coming back. And Dumoulin obviously brings out the best in him. They just complement each other so well. And Dumoulin didn't look right at the beginning of the season to me. I wondered if his ankle injury was still bothering him. Then he got hurt again. But boy, the last month, he has just been sensational. This is vintage Brian Dumoulin. And there's not many pairs in the NHL that are better than these two guys. They're going to have to play huge minutes, and they're still young enough. We know they can do it. So the Penguins should be feeling really, really good about those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like defense was their huge Achilles heel at the beginning of the season, because not only was, Brian Dumoulin struggling before he got hurt again, Chris Letang was struggling, but John Marino, he looked so unlike himself. And he made me take a step back and be like, okay, is there some kind of jersey curse that is over me? Because it feels like, yeah, I got a John Marino reverse retro for Christmas. That was all I wanted. I was like, I need that jersey. And they had like kind of communicated that he was going to be a guy for them long term. So I was like, this is an investment. And then shortly after I got the jersey, they signed him to that deal. And I was like, yeah, finally, I'm getting out of my jersey funk from Antonio Brown. And then at that point, Juju Smith-Schuster was a question mark. So I was like, finally, I'm picking guys that are going to be around for a while. And then he sucked, but to start the season. And I was like, oh my God, I did it again. I picked a guy. And as soon as I got his jersey, he turned into some unrecognizable version of himself. But all that to say, he's found his game again, except now he left the game last night. He had a maintenance day today, which I'm very skeptical of what that means. Whenever Mike Sullivan says stuff, I have some trust issues now. But
when the race crashes out on the ice, that can be a good reason for a maintenance day. Did you buy Cody Ceci jersey yet, or is he safe?
Not yet.
All right,
not yet.
Yeah,
I don't want to curse him. Yeah, because he's on that scale. Like, yeah, right. He was a question mark coming into the season, and we thought he was going to be, similar to, I was going to try to avoid his name, but yeah, we thought he was going to be like Jack Johnson, but coming from Toronto instead of Columbus. So he's been just great. He's been great. Like, surprisingly so. I every single game, I'm like, I thought he was supposed to suck. He doesn't suck. What's going on?
He's only screwed up like once or twice all season, I recall. Like, literally, he's been almost, in terms of solid play, like Marino was last season. We just never had bad games. Not quite as gifted as John, but yeah. No, he's been great. I think the blue line in general has been a strength. I mean, Mike Matheson is a roller coaster. He's like dating that girl or guy that you know is bad for you, but you can't help it. It's so much fun. It cost you eventually, but you're like, no, to hell with it. I'm doing it. Like, I got it. Like, this guy is just all over the place. But he's been better lately, I think, and he's so talented. Like, if he can just cut down on the mistakes, like, the talent level is off the charts with him. But I think the blue line, other than Crosby and Malkin, might be their greatest strength. And it's so deep, and you've got Chad Weedle there, who's so solid. Anytime you want to bring him in, he'll get the job done. Juuso Riikola, I don't know why they signed him, because they don't really have any interest in playing him. But, he's okay. They need to fill in. Like, he's still a capable guy. So they're deep there. And as long as Letang and Dumoulin keep playing like they are, it's really a lot of cause for optimism, I would say.
Yeah, because that was a huge. I can't remember if it was last season or the year before, because after this pandemic, during the pandemic, time just kind of like melds together in a way that I can't quite unfuse. But their blue line was a struggle recently, like, to the point where it was like, oh my gosh, they just like Dumoulin and Letang, and that's it. And then everybody else is kind of like, you just cross your fingers that they don't let up a goal. But now it does feel like, even with Marcus Pettersson, who's been very suspect to say the least, like, having Cody Ceci, it just like it feels like things are kind of balancing out a little bit.
And every team has a defenseman that's suspect. That's the. I mean, it always works out that way. But no, I think it's a strength. And we talk about being built to win in the playoffs. So what do you need? You need good goaltenders. Looks like they might have two. You need the deep blue line. They've got that. So you start crossing off the boxes of things that they need. They just need to get healthy, really. And I noticed last night, without Kapanen and Tanev especially, the Rangers are so fast. You noticed it last night. They made the Penguins look slow. Not many teams do that. They really, really missed those two. And obviously, big number 71. You get those three back and Teddy Bluger before the playoffs. It's a really deep lineup. It's not an easy road in the playoffs. They would have to go through, who knows, the Islanders and the Capitals or whatever. That wouldn't be easy, to say nothing of, the Avs or the Lightning waiting for them. But this is a good hockey team. They're a little better than I thought they would be.
Same. Yeah, coming into the season, I felt like I don't know. I just don't know. With 4 playoff spots being up for grabs, it was just so up in the air. But they do look good. Even despite the last couple games that have been painful to watch. There's a lot of promise.
There is. A lot of national prognosticators didn't pick them to make the playoffs. And in fact, I picked the Flyers to win the division, and I'm so glad I was wrong because it's actually it's been great fun to watch. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Oh, man.
That's a veteran pick right there, sir. I'm either happy because I'm right or I'm happy because I'm wrong. You really did well there picking that.
That's the old Mark Madden betting philosophy when he goes to Vegas. He often will bet against the Penguins. So if they lose, at least he wins money. And
if they win, the Penguins won.
It's just like it's looking out for yourself emotionally.
I love it. That's just smart. See, that's what so many years in the business will get you right there, kids.
I hope we're all taking notes for our gambling futures. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, listen, it's coming. There's like a casino being built in PPG Paints Arena right now, so we can't really avoid the bites. I think we all just need to accept it at this point. I don't know.
It's gambling everywhere on our phones, at PPG Paints Arena.
Yep.
It's everywhere. Anybody else have any questions for anybody?
I have a conversation topic, maybe, if people are interested. I'd also be okay if everyone rolled their eyes at it. Do we want to talk Seattle expansion and what that will look like for us and maybe for them too?
I think
or if we don't, it's okay too.
I think it's worth touching on because we have a pretty deep team at this point. So who do we protect? Who do we say is expendable? And bringing a 32nd team into the league, it's just, and we have such a recent example of that with the Vegas Golden Knights. And that was, an anomaly, it felt, because they went to the finals in their very first season. They made it to the finals against the Capitals, which was wild. But that was talk about polarizing. That was polarizing because a lot, people were split saying this team had their pick of anybody in the NHL that they wanted. So they created this all-star team. But in reality, they were just, and everybody on the other side was saying, well, they were picking a bunch of guys that nobody wanted to protect. So yeah, let's look ahead to a 32nd team. Who is a non-negotiable for the Penguins outside of obviously Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and probably Chris Letang, and who would we be all right saying goodbye to Seattle?
All right, another non-negotiable out of Crosby, Malkin, Letang has to be Jake Gensel for me. They just signed him to that long-term deal. He's a good young player. He has to be a non-negotiable for me. That we, at all costs, I'll even give them some money to protect Jake Gensel. He's to me not one of those guys that has to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Brian Rust as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, first line has to stay. Sorry, non-negotiable.
Personal bias. Rust isn't going anywhere, but who knows?
Yeah, if they're listening right now, he can't go.
You know who will be interesting to see if they protect or not?
Who?
How about Jason Zucker, who hasn't been terrible but hasn't been great and makes a lot of money?
Yeah.
I could see them being okay getting him off the books, and he's a great guy. He'd be a good guy on an expansion team who could be a captain or an alternate captain, maybe. So there might be interest in him. But Zucker and Casey DeSmith are two guys that jump to mind. Protect both goalies. We know what that's like in Pittsburgh with the expansion draft.
Yinzer's only just learned how to say Zucker, and now he's going to be gone. Come on, man.
That was a struggle. Oh my God.
Zucker. Yeah.
Zucker. Yeah.
But he's one.
Zucker like Smuckers.
I think the Penguins, guys like Teddy Bluger and Zach Aston-Reese, who don't make that much money, relatively speaking, might be more valuable to the Penguins moving forward than somebody like a Zucker who makes the money that he makes. So I could see him being available. Maybe Seattle won't be able to fit him into their contract structure. Who knows? Yeah. But that's one name I would keep in mind. I have a feeling they might make him available.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I forget about him sometimes. And I know he's been injured, and so he's kind of newly back, but I forget about him. And not because he's not a good player or anything, but like you say, he's fine. and we would probably be okay without him, but he could probably do great in Seattle, at least in like a leadership role, or just hey, here's how we play hockey, here's what an NHL team is like, kind of from that experience. But I don't think he's 28, 29. I thought he was much older because he has several kids, right?
He's 29, I think. Yeah.
That blows my mind. I just turned 29, and the thought of having a child is crazy. So, but yeah, he seems older to me, and not in a bad way, just kind of maybe maturity and things like that. So
having $20 million in the bank makes it easier to make the decision to have kids.
Yeah, that's very true.
No,
very true.
I think I had like $20 in the bank when I had my two. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know what? He's a good player, but I don't think he's ever really clicked with Crosby or Malkin to the point where he's not like Gensel or Russ, where those guys work with Crosby, and Kapanen and Malkin clearly have chemistry. Like, you don't want to mess with that. Yeah. So I could see him being the odd man out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, with what you said about free agency most likely being really crazy this summer, I mean, who knows what each team's going to look like next year. And then all it takes is one injury for you to change your mind about who you're going to protect. It's just so hard to predict right now.
No, it definitely is. That's why we pay attention, because it's unpredictable and fun. And I find so many fans enjoy the off-season stuff almost more than the games. People like, I know I can see like how many people read articles we write or whatever. The most people read is at the trade deadline and July 1st, or usually July 1st free agency. That's what people go absolutely wild for every year.
Yeah.
As someone who's a fan of reality shows, it's like a reality show in and of itself. Like who's going to be on the next season of Real Housewives? Who's not going to be on the next season of Real Housewives? Are they just going to be a friend? It's similar to that, right?
No, it actually is. That's completely fair.
It kind of fulfills that same desire in all of us, to have that drama, like to watch the drama and be, for the most part, unaffected by it on a personal level. Like there's something about it that's like,
yes, no, absolutely. We all like it. I mean, I'm an Aries and I have a Scorpio moon. I love drama. Like it never stops. That's just the way it is for me. But no, it's
Scorpios. Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun. I mean, it was so much fun with Jim Rutherford always, because you knew he would do something just out of his mind every trade that he wouldn't care, just unabashedly. You done making sure, like, he traded for Marleau on the deadline after he'd already gotten someone else, and I texted him. I said, Jim, like, are you finally done? The deadline's in 5 minutes. He writes back, nope, another trade coming. That's unbelievable.
He should just say that to mess with you sometimes. Like, nah, man, huge trade coming. Just stay tuned. And then there's just
all the people on Twitter like, you son of a listen to Bob McKenzie. Like, all right.
He would go he'd go wild. But yeah, we obviously lost Fleury to Vegas in the expansion draft, which was speaking of drama, that was dramatic to say the least. So Josh, you said something about Casey DeSmith being somebody to watch in the expansion draft. Do you think that there's any chance that they would leave Jarry open to that potential?
No, I don't, because they really like Casey, and understandably so, but they just don't view him as a number one guy. And there's only so many of those goalies out there, and they view Tristan that way. So, and Tristan doesn't make that much money. He's make $3.5 million. So he certainly is reasonable for a number one goalie. So I would be very surprised if they made him available. Who knows? Expansion drafts are weird. Like the shady stuff that goes on. Like it was, I didn't realize it would be that way with Vegas. I mean, they were literally calling George McPhee, different teams, who was Vegas's GM then, saying, listen, we don't want you to take this guy, so we're going to give you a third round pick just to not take him and stuff like that. It's like really? Is that the way things work? But
wow,
that's how you get to become a Stanley Cup contender as an expansion team. Back in the old days, like if you ever want to amuse yourself, look up the stats of like when the San Jose Sharks and Ottawa Senators were expansion teams in the early 90s. Like they were so pathetic, it was unreal. There was one time Mario's back was bad. He wasn't playing for weeks. He literally took a flight just to play against the Sharks in San Jose. He knew he had like a goal and 5 assists, and he flew back home because he just knew it'd be easy pickings. It was literally like playing a minor league team.
Beautiful.
I see people talking online about how they're not going to let Seattle get away with getting all these draft picks, but now that there's financial problems in organizations, it seems like they might pay in draft picks to get bad contracts off their books.
Oh, the NHL will let them do it. They want these teams to be good right away. Seattle's a big market, a great sports town. That just makes the league better if they're good right away. You don't want teams to stink for the first 10 years. So I think they will let them get away with whatever Vegas did, to be quite honest with you.
That's interesting.
Well, think about too, with all those teams up in the Canadian West Coast between Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver's on the rise, and then put Seattle right in there competing with those teams, I think would be great for the National Hockey League.
Totally agree. Vancouver, I've actually never been to Seattle. I've been to Vancouver, but I know it's only about a 2-hour drive. So even though it's across the border, that just has all the makings for being a great rivalry. And Seattle's a great sports town. It really is. They never should have lost the Supersonics back in the day. That was just like needed a new arena crap, that kind of thing. And the Seahawks and Mariners. Yeah, it's a great sports town. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good thing for the league.
Yeah, I can't speak personally, but a good friend of mine, she's from Seattle and is a big Seattle sports fan. And just the excitement in her voice, she's not even a hockey fan, but just the excitement that you can hear when she talks about their new team. They're so excited. So I'm really excited to see them too, just from kind of feeling her energy and how excited they are to have another sports team in town.
And it was like that in Vegas. I mean, it still is. I don't know if any of you have gone to a game in Vegas.
Yeah.
You walk through the casinos on game nights, and all the poker dealers are literally wearing Fleury jerseys. Like, they love that team. Fleury is on billboards everywhere out there on the strip. Like, they are rock stars in Vegas. It's incredible how excited that city is. They sell out every game. It's loudest building in the league, probably. Great atmosphere. So I think it'll be very similar in Seattle. It's just a young and vibrant city. I think it's a very good choice by the league to go there.
Yeah, I was in Vegas last February, so about a month before everything shut down. And it was my first time in Vegas in general, but I was so surprised. I honestly probably took a picture everywhere I saw night stuff because I'm not used to that in Texas. You know, we don't see a lot of hockey stuff. To just see a town embracing a hockey team so much was so cool. And everywhere I went had a Knights themed cocktail, which is very interesting too. So, and then like on the blackjack tables, they have the logo and stuff like that. So they love it.
Vegas loves that city. That team. It's great. It really is.
Yeah, my buddy about 2-3 years ago when he graduated college was either going to go to Vegas Golden Knights game for a graduation gift from his parents or go to the college football semifinals in Arlington between it was Notre Dame and Clemson that year. And he ended up saying that I think the Clemson was cheaper than the Vegas Golden Knights sold out seats on the resale market. So
it's the most I've ever paid for a hockey ticket. It was insane. And our seats were fine. We sat, Josh will probably know what I'm talking about. We sat just below like the drum section where they have like the drum line, and it was good. Like we could see everything, but that was the cheapest ticket. And I mean, it was just over 200 maybe.
Wow.
So it wasn't even lower level.
Vegas and Toronto are probably the two most expensive in the league. Really quick Vegas story. Covered a game there last season. The Penguins won 4-3. The over-under was 6.5 for the game. I bet the over. Penguins were up 4-2 late in the game. Jack Johnson screws up and they give up a goal because of a screw up. And I sat down in the locker room beside him afterwards. I said, I'm so happy you had that defensive miscue, Jack. It just made me a few $100. And to his credit, he was like very happy for me. We know he knows what it's like to lose money. And
Josh. Oh no.
And I shouldn't say that because his parents are like scumbags, like unbelievable story. He is the nicest guy in the world. I couldn't help myself. I just had
it was right there. It was right there. Oh my God.
But Jack's great. I feel bad. I shouldn't have said that. But yeah, he came through for me there. And I really appreciated
it. Clearly you appreciated it immensely.
Yeah. Oh, that poor guy. Okay. I was super hard on him throughout his tenure in Pittsburgh. He really does seem like an awesome dude. Like he does. So it was never like a personal thing.
Right.
I just hated that he was.
The vitriol should have been for Jim Rutherford for giving him that deal.
100%.
Yes, and that was the majority of the hostility that I felt. I was like, Jim, because of course we were on a first name basis in my mind. It's like I actually called him Jimmy.
Come on your podcast if you'd ask him. I mean, he's pretty.
You were in a group text with him and Josh, right? Like y'all were
exactly
all texting buddies. Yeah.
Yeah,
probably would. I'm not kidding.
If you can get me in a group text with Jim Rutherford, I don't know what I would do.
He texts back immediately. He's one of those types like, you haven't even put your phone down. Oh my God, your response makes you feel so good. Like, that's very attentive of him.
Yeah.
My gosh, that would, yeah. I gave him a lot of crap there at the end, but yeah, he brought 2 cups to Pittsburgh. So that's not nothing, you know.
He's just a home run hitter. They strike out sometimes. That's just who he is. Right?
They do, which we know very intimately.
I will say we're from the Buckeye.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I was gonna ask Noah. I was gonna ask Noah if he knows anything about batters striking out. I don't know. Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, I know a little too much. So full disclosure, Josh, we were talking before you got here. I'm a full season ticket holder for the Buccos. I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, I love pain, Josh. I love a lot of pain in my life.
Well, I'll be there. I'm gonna go Monday or Tuesday. So I just missed the ballpark. I just miss sitting there and losing myself for 3 hours.
My buddy's singing the anthem Wednesday night, so I'm going back Wednesday. I'm going tomorrow. I'm going Saturday, and then I'm going Wednesday. Right. But I'm just disappointed that Tatis is injured now, so we won't be able to see him with San Diego.
Any good players, right? I know that was disappointing.
I'm telling you, everyone here needs that pain shirt. It has to happen officially after this conversation.
We're bonding right now. I feel like we're all masochists on some level. This is interesting.
A little bit.
It's factual.
Yeah, there's something about it because I think that so me looking at picturing the Pirates winning the World Series, like I lose my mind. So like
I will cry. I will literally cry tears of joy. I truly mean that.
So I just remind myself of that whenever they lose to the Cincinnati Reds and give up like a combined, I don't even know, like 20 plus runs over 2 games. Something like that. I don't know.
Something to see.
It's something. It is something to see. Like giving up 8 runs. Oh my God, 8 goals to the Rangers.
Pittsburgh teams are resilient. Yep. Never doubt them. They can do anything. I believe it. I'm excited as a new Pirates fan as of an hour ago. I'm so excited to see them win the World Series.
To come to the game Wednesday.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Just text your buddy Adam and tell him to get you on the season ticket list. Get you some tickets.
Adam, I don't know if this is common in any other parts of the country, but we went to 4-H camp together and we're in the same little group. So I'm sure he remembers me from that.
100%. That's a bond that never dies. No way.
4-H camp forever. Yeah.
Oh my God, now that you say that,
it's a serious throwback when you mention 4-H camp.
Do you want to get Josh's thoughts on the ice cream, Amanda? I know that we've had this lingering ice cream question that just needs tied up.
Okay, so I am the representative of all new sports fans here today. Obviously the Penguins are my favorite, but Jordan and I were discussing how, Jordan, fill in the details with me. 2 summers ago, we went. We went and we had ice cream at the
PNC Park.
Thank you. We were at PNC Park, and I just don't know where the ice cream is. And everyone said, "Well, you should ask Josh where it is." It was Rivendale's ice cream, and Noah,
Rivendale. They had like a Buccos, like Pirate Treasure
ice cream.
Pirate's Treasure. Josh, can you find me this delicious ice cream from heaven, please?
Is it the one behind home plate? There's an ice cream section behind home, like behind 116.
That's the sweet spot. I think they do serve it at the sweet spot because Rivendale had that contract with them.
Yeah, I think that's correct. Geez, this guy knows everything. My God.
I know.
All Buccos all the time for him.
That's what I said.
No, that's right behind section 116. And I'm so glad this came up because I did a Q&A yesterday for work, and somebody asked me like to rank my 5 favorite ice cream flavors. And like, that's kind of random.
Did you say that one?
I said, no, not specifically, but I said my number 2 favorite ice cream in the world is just in general PNC Park ice cream. I find it just tastes different there. And it I don't know what it is. The atmosphere helps. It's a nice warm summer night, whatever. But they don't do everything right in that organization. But the ice cream, the variety, the quality of the ice cream, it's not that expensive.
Yes.
It's legit. No, I completely agree with you.
Yes, it was like nothing I've ever tasted. And every time we go to Market District, every time I'm in Pittsburgh, we look for it. And I'm just really sad. I'm like, where can I get this? They couldn't have just made like only one batch of it for that one summer, and that's it. So, all right, I'll have to check it out.
They had it for a little bit, and then I think they discontinued it, or at least the distribution to Market District. I have no idea if it exists at PNC Park or anywhere else.
All right, Noah, you need to go to PNC Park and you need to find me this ice cream. You need to tell Jordan, and she will tell me, put it somewhere. But if you find this ice cream, I need to know. I need to know.
Ironically, friends of mine, they're kids, because the story goes that years ago when they were little kids, all they wanted was the ice cream, and Dad said they had to eat dinner. So then the kids started getting good with baseball and shook on the fourth inning. So every half inning, when it gets to the fourth inning, they go get ice cream.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens if they go for fourth inning ice cream tomorrow, because I know they're going. Or the kids don't have no clue that they're going, by the way. They were not finding out till tomorrow morning that they're skipping school to go to the opener. So we will find out if they're going for ice cream. If not, I can try and ask and see, does Rivendell sell it, and is it going retail or not?
Dude.
Yeah, Thank you. Just find out for me. I have to know.
No pressure, Noah, but this is literally more important than anything any Pirates beat writer could possibly report about that team.
Oh, please don't tell Rob Beer Temple that, Josh. Please don't tell Rob Beer Temple that.
I'm so sick of all the beat writers talking the Pirates up in spring training. Like, oh, this guy's hitting 800. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's sustainable.
Yeah.
Totally reasonable.
Whatever. But then again, imagine having to write about that team every day for 6 months. I don't know. Like, if I found out that Greg Brown and Bob Walk were like on major drugs to get through the season, like I could understand. Like, I don't know how I give those guys so much credit.
That's what I was gonna say. I'd give them an extension, not a suspension.
Yeah, like Mike Klein, Corky, Steve Mears, Bob Airy, like they got to watch the Penguins every night. They're fine. Those baseball guys, and every game's like 4 hours now, so that's tough.
Yeah,
it's a little bleak.
Yeah,
but
on the topic of
just
food,
find out about the ice cream. Yep.
Right. Focus.
Yeah.
It's really all we need. Well, okay. So the very last thing that I wanted to do was I mentioned a birthday bundle, right? So one of the 5 lucky recipients of an exclusive Zoom happy hour pass was going to be receiving a birthday bundle. And so before I say anything else about that, I'm going to be sending out your what did I call them? Party favors. So a pint glass, a Helmet Hair branded pint glass, a sticker, and then a little Helmet Hair sugar cookie. So those are going to be done. I believe I'm picking them up on the 15th. So next week, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'll send those out to all of you guys next week, just as a thank you for being a part of this and, supporting the podcast throughout the first year. But the birthday bundle was a Steelers draft cap for 2021, Penguins reverse retro tee, and then a gift card for Tavour, which is a craft beer app. So basically what that is they feature different beers from different craft breweries across the country. You can buy them in quantities of 1, 2, 4, 6, like you can buy them however you want. And then they ship them in a box to you. So
Nice.
that is also a part of the birthday bundle. So by a totally random selection of, I numbered all of you 1 through 5 and asked Amanda to pick a number 1 through 5. Yeah. So if you're upset that you didn't get it, you can yell at her.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the winner of the birthday bundle is number 4, Nick. So yeah. Yay. Yay, Nick.
That's
so yeah.
You are so welcome, Nick. You are so welcome.
You're my new best friend, Amanda.
Big.
We even have matching shirts, Nick. I was going to say this earlier. I have the same shirt as you. It's just the long sleeve from Steel City. So I must have known the number 4 was you. I got you.
So you're saying it's rigged. You're saying it's rigged. I get it.
It's rigged.
Recount.
I mean, you could buy a Steel City shirt. I mean, you could twin with us. It's okay.
And then you would have that same connection, like the osmosis. Yeah. So I'll get hat size, shirt size from you sometime later, but that'll all be coming your way. And then the rest of you will receive the pint glass cookie sticker, all that good stuff in next week or so. But especially thank you to Amanda and Hunter and Josh for being the featured guests and for taking a chance on me in my first year as a podcaster, because I know that the episodes that you all did with me in this first year they were so fun, and everybody loved them. And I've really enjoyed getting to talk to all of you about sports, all three of you. And yeah, so just thank you.
Thank you. You're the best.
Seriously, the best.
No, yes. You're nicer than anybody else, and you're more talented than most podcasters. That's why we do it. So,
100%. We know you're going places. It was an easy decision to support what you're doing.
Yeah, completely echo that. Plus, you just want to drink really good local beer and talk about sports. You don't gotta twist my arm, Jordan. Come on.
I need to have you come back on, Hunter, for a Brew Gentleman specific episode sometime, so we can just maybe do whenever things kind of open up again. You and I can do like an in-person episode where we do like a Brew Gentleman flight.
Yeah, and I'm way down. I'm way down for that. Man. Let's do it. We can definitely make that happen.
I think we all need to have like a PNC Park outing where we can all have ice cream and beer simultaneously.
Oh my goodness.
I will fly in special.
And I will drive in.
Let me know the day.
From over here. Yes, seriously. Totally ship that.
Literally make that happen. Write that down, somebody. That has to happen.
We'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm writing it down. Okay.
You can easily get 9 seats together there at least.
I sense we're all going along fairly well. I think this needs to happen. I'm all for it.
For sure. Yeah, we'll make that happen because that would be awesome.
Jordan, also in your honor, I switched to Grist House. My virtual background isn't going to allow it to happen.
Is that Fire on the Hill?
That's Fire on the Hill. The bop, as you said, which I love.
It's so good.
That was one of the places you recommended to me, right, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember that from yesterday.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're can sales only at this point, so you can't go get a draft beer, but definitely worth picking up just a 4-pack or even a growler if you and your husband want to crush it at the hotel or wherever you're staying. It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. So good. Well, yeah, Noah, Nick, Taylor, Sean, Elena, thank you guys so much for participating in this, for coming on, for talking, for being such good sports, and for loving Pittsburgh sports, because you all are the reason that I do this. So this was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for having us, Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. This was so much fun. This is literally my first Zoom happy hour of the pandemic, believe it or not, over a year in, and it has by far been the best. So
Great.
All right.
Yes, thank you, Jordan, and congratulations on 1 year. It's been incredible, and here's to many more.
Cheers. My beer's
Cheers. I'm out.
There's nothing in here.
We all kicked it a long time ago because we've been on here for 2 hours.
One little sip left.
Yeah.
So
there you go. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. For everybody who's listening, thank you. Whether you caught the live stream or you're listening after the fact, you're all awesome. Again, you're the reason I do this. And I can't wait for another year and hopefully many, many more years of talking Pittsburgh sports and beer. Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, have a great night. I will hopefully talk to you very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Okay.